with the visit of the Afghan Foreign Minister Muttaqi to
Mhm.
Delhi. This is the first physical face-to-face meeting at the political level between the EAM and the Foreign Minister of Afghanistan. So it was very
Mhm.
significant. And this visit, I think, has rattled Pakistan a lot because, they have been strutting about that they control the Taliban and the Taliban will do what they say. And here is the Taliban Afghan minister who's gone out of his way and gone and visited India and received a very warm welcome. And, so I think they're really rattled on this. So if you put these things together, the fact that the TTP has upscaled its attacks and the fact that the Taliban foreign minister is in Delhi. So I think a combination of these factors would have been responsible for the airstrikes.
You're watching the gist on Stat News Global. I'm Ramananda Sengupta. Today, we're going to be discussing the rapidly moving events in Afghanistan, where Pakistani drone and airstrikes hit Kabul late Thursday night, which might actually force the visiting Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi to cut short his landmark trip to New Delhi. Joining us today is Mr. Tilak Devasher, member of the National Security Advisory Board and one of the world's foremost experts on the AfPak region, with 4 or is it 5 books, I don't know, best-selling books on the subject. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a delight, as always, to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And just one correction, it's former member.
Oh, okay.
I completed my tenure in March.
Uh-huh. So let's start right from the top. Late last night, we had airstrikes in Kabul, which reportedly targeted the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan head, Nurwali Masood, as well as, there were airstrikes reported in Paktika, Nagarhar, and other areas. Is the fact that these strikes took place at a time when Muttaqi is visiting India of significance?
I think the two things. See, this is a dramatic escalation in the deteriorating relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
And the timing, I think, is also important because it happened a couple of days after the TTP's attack in Orakzai, in which a lieutenant colonel and a major were killed, and their attack in Dera Ismail Khan, where one major and many other soldiers were killed. So there has been a sudden spurt or escalation by the TTP. So much so that the defense minister, or the nominal defense minister, Khwaja Asif, said in the National Assembly that enough is enough, that, we've have it and we've had it. So soon after that, these strikes took place. So that is one
Okay.
part of it. What the TTP has really been hurting Pakistan. And then, of course, the fact that it coincides with the visit of the Afghan Foreign Minister Muttaqi to Delhi. This is the first physical face-to-face meeting at the political level between the EAM and the Foreign Minister of Afghanistan. So it was very significant. And this visit, I think, has rattled Pakistan a lot because, they have been strutting about that they control the Taliban and the Taliban will do what they say. And here is the Taliban Afghan minister who's gone out of his way and gone and visited India and received a very warm welcome. And, so I think they're really rattled on this. So if you put these things together, the fact that the TTP has upscaled its attacks and the fact that the Taliban foreign minister is in Delhi. So I think a combination of these factors would have been responsible for the airstrikes.
Uh-huh. So during the meeting earlier today between Dr. Jaishankar and Mr. Muttaqi, Dr. Jaishankar announced that we are upgrading our technical mission in Kabul to that of an embassy, which is significant by itself. But does that mean that we are sure about the security of that embassy? I mean, can we depend on the Taliban to guarantee the security of that embassy? Because that was a
I
big
think
factor.
I think the Taliban would have given cast iron securities and assured us to the extent that the MEA would have been convinced that they will provide genuinely foolproof security, which will take care of the lives of our diplomats and of our property. So
Mm-hmm.
once we were convinced of that, I think they've decided to upgrade it from a technical mission to that of an embassy. Now it is in
Mm-hmm.
the hands of the Taliban to make sure that whatever guarantees that they have given are actually met and fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Muttaqi comes here after the Moscow format talks on Afghanistan in Moscow, where Russia, as you know, just one of probably the one of the major countries to have just recognized Taliban formally. Do you see all this leading up to India's formal recognition of the Taliban and regime in Afghanistan?
I personally believe that India will go along with the international consensus on recognizing the Taliban.
Mm-hmm.
And the line that the UN takes or the other international community takes on recognition. You see, two things which has been conditions for recognition have been an inclusive government. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
the Taliban is not an inclusive government. And second, the treatment of women. Now, so long as the treatment of women continues to be atrocious, to say the least, I don't see how the international community will recognize formally. Everybody will do business, to safeguard their own national interests. India has important national interests in Afghanistan, which we would like to safeguard. We've had
Mm-hmm.
people-to-people contact, civilizational links, and therefore humanitarian assistance we will continue to provide. We were the first responders when the earthquake took place. Even during COVID time, we supplied vaccines. We supplied 50,000 tons of wheat, and I think more are on the way. So we will continue to have people-to-people contact because of our civilizational links. We will protect our national interest. And I think a key national interest is that the ungoverned spaces in Afghanistan, Pakistan doesn't incubate TTP and LET cadres. And I think there the Taliban have assured. So, we have to get on with business of governance, with business of engagement. Recognition is a formal thing. I don't see India breaking that international consensus.
Mm-hmm. So, Dr. Jayashankar also announced that we are going to build housing for a whole bunch of the people who have been sort of kicked out of Pakistan, the Afghan refugees who've been kicked out of Pakistan. Now, is that, a truly altruistic kind of a thing, or are we trying to sort of poke the Pakistanis in some way, pointing out that, hey, look, you kicked these guys out, look, we'll take care of them?
Yeah, I think it could be a bit of signaling. But, we have always done this. If you recall in Sri Lanka too, after
Mm-hmm.
the civil war, we offered to build 50,000 houses in the north, as
Mm-hmm.
a humanitarian gesture for the people who had been displaced. Similarly,
Right.
over here too, of the people who have been displaced, both from Iran and from Pakistan, about 2 million of them who have been sent back. I think it's a huge gesture because those people, some of them are coming back after 20 years or 30 years. Their lives are broken. They have no place to stay, no business to do, no occupation. And I think if India can step forward and help out with the construction of housing, that will be a huge relief for Afghanistan and for the people of Pakistan. And I think India has always done things to protect our civilizational links and our people to people contact. So this will be a very welcome gesture.
Mm-hmm. So we also tend to get a lot of Afghan refugees coming into our country, and I think probably one of the few things that the UNHRC also recognizes them as refugees when they come here. Um, are we planning to send some of those people back sometime, perhaps, if things stabilize in Afghanistan?
I'm not sure of the numbers, so I can't make a comment on it. That how many
Mm-hmm.
are actually refugees? Bulk of the Afghan people who are here have come on visas,
Okay.
on student visas especially. I don't think they are refugees. Maybe if the visa has expired because of the last
Mhm.
2 3 years, there were some issues in renewing visas. If they have become now refugees, I don't know about that. But I think the bulk of the Afghans who are here have come legitimately.
Mhm. Sir, going
Unlike
back
in
to
Iran and Pakistan, where they
Mhm.
went in waves. First time when the Soviets invaded, the first wave took place then. Then when the Mujahideen civil war, it took place again. Then again when the Taliban 1.0 came, it began again.
Right.
So they have gone to Iran and Pakistan in waves as undocumented without any permission, as real
Mhm.
as refugees. And then, of course, many got Afghan citizenship cards, many got UNHRC cards. They were recognized. I don't think so. The same kind of a thing is in India.
Mhm. Sir, one of the things that has been struck me for a long time is that there has always been this friction between Afghanistan and Pakistan, particularly over the Duran line. And I think I remember reading a lot about that in your book, one of your books. Um, could you just put that friction into a bit of a nutshell? What is the actual issue there? Because that seems to be part of the problem between them.
You see, it's a structural problem. The Afghans, right since 1949, have not recognized the Durand Line as the international border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Pakistan still claims that the Durand Line is the international border. And I think the Afghans have a very legitimate right. You see, the last treaty between British India and Afghanistan was the 1921 Treaty of Kabul. That had a very peculiar clause. And the clause was that the treaty was valid only for 3 years. And after 3 years, any of the two sides, that is British India or Afghanistan, by giving 12 months' notice, could rescind the treaty. Now,
Hmm.
Afghanistan held a Lower Jirga in 1949 after some Pakistani aircraft had intruded their territory and bombed their villages. So they called it Lower Jirga and they rescinded all treaties with British India. That means the 1893 Durand Line, the 1879 Treaty of Gandamak, the Treaty of Rawalpindi, all the other treaties, they rescinded. So as far as the Afghans are concerned, they are within their rights, as per the Treaty of 1921, to have no border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. That's what they're saying.
Hmm.
That's why they don't accept the Durand Line.
Hmm.
And thrice Pakistan has tried very hard during Taliban 1.0 to get the Taliban to recognize the Durand Line as the international border. And thrice the Taliban has said no. Now in Taliban 2.0, also they have tried several times, but each time they've been told, sorry, we can't decide this issue because this is a line that divides brothers. We cannot accept it. So we don't accept it. So this is the structural issue. For the
Hmm.
Afghans, this is their homeland, wherever the
Right.
Afghans move. You see, there's a confusion. When the Afghan or the Pashtun says Watan, Watan means their territory. They are Pashtuns which straddle both sides of the Durand line. So that is their Watan. It is not, they're not talking, see, a lot of, we or Punjabi especially confuse Watan with country. But the Afghan
Hmm.
Watan does not mean country. Country is separate. But they feel they have the right to go up and down. And technically and legally, they feel that all Pashtuns, this side of Atak, all belong to one larger Pashtun land.
Hmm.
Afghans have been weak, so they have not been able to enforce this. I mean, Pakistan should worry about the time when the Afghans become strong and they are able
Hmm.
to reincorporate these territories back
Hmm.
into Afghanistan.
Hmm. So, you've been following Afghanistan and Pakistan, of course, for a long time. One of the other concerns that I think the international community probably has is the rise of, let's say, terrorist outfits in Afghanistan. Though the Taliban itself says that we tackle them ourselves, how valid a fear is that?
No, it is true. I think the UN Sanctions Committee has documented that there are a large number of groups. You see, let's try and understand that there are ungoverned spaces in Afghanistan where
Hmm.
the administration of the Taliban as yet does not reach. After all, they were an insurgent force. They were not administrators. They didn't govern. So it will take them time to establish administration in every nook and corner. And that area, especially on the eastern side, you know, Punar, Nangarhar, Coast, Paktika, these are pretty, geographically very difficult terrains
Hmm.
to govern. So, in various nooks and corners. And these are also the blowback of the successive jihads that Pakistan and the US and the West has launched first against the Soviets. A lot of the
Mhm.
fighters stayed back. Then against on the war on terror, people stayed back. So this is going to take time to filter out of the system. But since the Taliban themselves don't have an expansionist agenda, they don't covet anybody else's territory, the Taliban. Unlike
Mhm.
the agenda of the Al Qaeda or the ISIS, the Taliban
Right.
themselves are pretty happy with Afghanistan itself. So I'm sure after a period of time, they will be able to establish their writ in every nook and corner of
Mhm.
Afghanistan. Of course, there is no threat to the existence of the Taliban, but these terrorist organizations, especially the ISKP or ISIS, Al Qaeda, the Lashkar and the Jaish, they pose dangers to other countries. They radiate outwards. And therefore, the Central Asian republics or even India do feel threatened because of these ungoverned spaces.
Mhm. So it's interesting also the fact that the American ambassador to India, Mr. Gore, is apparently here at the same time as Mr. Muttaqi, and at a time when the Americans seem to have suddenly developed this love for, or rather, I would say, Mr. Trump has developed this love for Pakistan. Do you think this strike in Afghanistan was sort of done with perhaps a wink and a nod by Washington?
It is very difficult to say.
Uh huh.
There's no end to rumors. I heard a very funny rumor that Muttaqi was here, so was the British Prime Minister, and he had a
Hmm.
team of MI6 officers who also wanted to meet or did meet Muttaqi. So there is no
Oh.
end to rumor mongering. How
Uh
do you
huh.
know? I mean, I unless there is some confirmation, official confirmation or something. So I don't know whether the US would have winked at this. After all,
Hmm.
the US does want Bagram, for which they need American Taliban goodwill, if at all. So the
Right.
Taliban have made it very clear they're not getting a meter of Afghan land.
Absolutely.
But still,
Ab-
if President Trump wants Bagram, he will need some sort of goodwill of the Taliban. So would he poke them in the eye by winking at what Pakistan is doing by striking at Kabul? That's the other
mhm.
question to ask.
That's also a point, sir. So I know that we are almost running out of time, but a last quick question, sir. Uh, what how does this sudden love towards Pakistan by the Americans impact India?
You see, I don't believe that we should see this in a zero-sum game. The US has its national interest. President Trump feels that there is something in Pakistan, whether it is private business interest, like we know that the his son and the son of Witkoff have signed a deal on cryptocurrency with Pakistan. So whether it is
Mhm.
that angle which is manifesting itself, or he really feels, you see, they talk about an oil, big, huge oil reserves in Pakistan. Even Pakistanis say, oil? We didn't know we had oil. They have no idea. Now,
Exactly.
Reko they say, is supposed to be the next biggest thing to mining. Reko was discovered in 1993. We are in 2025. There
Hmm.
has been no significant exploitation of that mine or anything substantial coming out of that
Hmm.
mine.
Hmm.
So, where are the minerals? Some mineral samples have been sent now. That you saw that box which
Yes.
Asim Munir, I
Hmm.
thought he was looking like a waiter, telling
I know.
Trump, try
Absolutely.
this, try this. So
Hmm.
let's see what analysis does the Geological Survey of this company, US Strategic Metals, comes up with after having a look at these you know rocks that were sent, and where are they
Hmm.
from? Most likely they are from either Balochistan or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, but the people there, the governments there, are not aware of this. So again, this has been done without the consent. One of the
Hmm.
reasons why the Baloch are upset is that the entire CPEC project, including Gwadar, was done without their consent, knowledge, or they being the beneficiaries. Now you're doing it again with mineral exploration without taking into account the people of KPK or Balochistan. Again, you're poking them in the eye. So
Hmm.
there are many things. I'm not sure. For one thing, I'm sure that this is President Trump's own initiative. I'm not so sure it is the U.S. establishment's policy. So I don't think we need to be unduly worried about it over a period of time. I think the
Mhm.
US relationship with India, the US relationship with India is multi-domain, it's been multi-dimensional with bipartisan consensus over the last 20 years.
Mhm.
I don't see that dissipating because of some deal on minerals or something else that the US does with Pakistan.
Yes, sir. But if you look at, I mean, what they just did with um the port in Iran, that they've revoked our access to that port now, saying that if you do that, you'll be think that also sort of limits our access to Afghanistan in some way, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But the question to be asked is it done to spite India or is it done to tighten the grip on Iran? You see,
Hmm.
when the waiver was given initially, it was done to benefit Afghanistan, that Afghanistan is
Hmm.
a separate trade route and not be bound only by Karachi. That is the
Right.
time when the US was invested heavily in Afghanistan. After
Hmm.
2021, the US is not invested in Afghanistan. So the legitimate question I'm sure they're asking themselves is that why are we doing this favor to Iran? Why should we allow Iran to make money? I'm just speculating. I'm not sure. Maybe it has
Right.
been done to spite India. I mean, time will tell. And time
Hmm.
will also tell what is our reaction going to be. Are we going to pull out of Chabahar or are we going to continue and look for alternative means of funding and insurance and things like that? So this again is, I think, will take some time to work itself out.
Hmm. So, quick question before we close: if you were to look at your crystal ball, do you see the Pakistan-Afghanistan relationship getting better, or do you see it getting a lot worse before it gets any better?
It's going to get a lot worse. You see,
Hmm.
there is a saying that for Afghans the most critical value is revenge,
Hmm.
and the famous saying that an Afghan took revenge after 100 years, instead he took it too soon. So the Afghans, especially the Pashtuns, the
Hmm.
Taliban or the Pashtuns, they don't forget, and they will
Hmm.
hit back at Pakistan when they are in a position to. And meantime, let Pakistan sweat. So I don't see a relationship getting better because it's a question of honor. Pakistan has hurt them, and honor is the second biggest value in Pashtun society, as per Pashtun value. So
Hmm.
he has insulted you, so you have to take revenge. But when you take revenge, you do it at your time and place of choosing. I don't see relationship improving.
Great, sir. So, on that note, I'm sorry I took 5 more minutes than I had promised. Thank you so very much for joining us, sir, and giving us your views on a very fluid situation. I know that it's not something that one can really, give concrete answers to. So, I appreciate your taking at least the time to gaze into your crystal ball and tell us what you think is happening. Thank you so much again, sir, and I look forward to having you with us again.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That was Mr. Tilak Devasher, one of the world's foremost experts on the Afghan Pakistan region, talking to us about the recent developments in that area and the visit of Afghan Foreign Minister um, Amir Muttaqi. I do hope you enjoyed this particular edition of The Gist, and I look forward to seeing you again. Till then, this is Ramananda Sen Gupta signing out.